Hello everybody, this is a quick little, I don't know about how quick it will be, but it's a little welcome video with an overview of the course via the syllabus. The first thing I'll say is I apologize for the quality of the sound. I've recently moved and I am talking to you from an empty apartment, so it's very echoey, so hopefully the sound does not impact it too much. I will tell you that the videos that are online for the lectures for the course will be of better quality. They were recorded in a better situation in terms of the audio. So if this one's a little bit sketchy, don't panic. The lectures are going to be much better. And then another thing about that is I've recorded most of these lectures from a previous semester, either last semester or a recent semester. And so if there's any references in the lectures to due dates or schedules and things like that, just ignore them. Those are from a previous class. So let's just start off by who I am. I am Kevin. You can call me Kevin if you want. If you don't want to call me Kevin, you can call me Dr. or Professor Carlson. Don't call me Mr. Carlson. I'm not a Mr. I don't care about titles, so you can just call me Kevin. I don't care about titles, but if you're going to call me a title, call me the right one, Professor or Doctor. Or a lot of students I found like this little thing that I picked up in Asia. In Asia, people usually refer to you by your first name because I think in Chinese cultures they confuse the first and last names for Westerners. And so if you want to call me Dr. Kevin or Professor Kevin, if that's something that you like to do, feel welcome to do that. So call me Kevin, Professor or Dr. Carlson, or Dr. or Professor Kevin. That's fine also. And there's my email, which you probably already have because I've emailed you before the course. And so this is a fully online course, and so we're going to be using Canvas extensively. So probably at this point in time you're used to Canvas, unless you're a first-year student. If you're a first-year student, it might be new to you, and so hopefully you will learn Canvas very quickly because all of the courses are distance education or online now, except for a few things that are lab courses that need to be in person. So make sure you can log in, which is kind of a skip it thing now that I'm thinking of it, because if you're watching this video, you are logged in and watching this video online. So we will be doing everything online, all the lectures, all the activities in terms of assignments and exams, they're all on Canvas. And as I emailed you before the course, there's no required meeting times for this course, so you can watch the lectures anytime that you want. I'm not sure, but I have a feeling that there are some courses at Chaffee who are doing some sort of distance education where they want you to be online, for example on Zoom at a certain time to be taught. That's not the case for this course. This course is fully online. You can do your work for this course anytime that you want, of course, as long as you meet the due date. So there are no required meeting times. There will be occasional Zoom meetings online, which will be optional. This will be just basically, I'll call them Q&A sessions. So if you have any questions, I'll try to answer those questions, whether those questions are about the actual material of the course or about the class in general. I cannot at this point promise a Zoom session every week, but we will have one at least for every unit of study. So for at least every exam unit of study, we will have a Zoom meeting, and we may have more than that. We just have to see how the schedule happens. And quite frankly, if the attendance isn't great, I won't schedule the meetings that much. So those kind of vary. For this class in the summer, the attendance was pretty decent. For another class I had in the summer, the attendance was not very good, and so if the attendance is not good, I'll just probably make fewer Zoom sessions. So they'll be there for you if you want, and I will make those Zoom sessions known to you on Canvas as an announcement, and you should get those announcements from Canvas automatically to your email. If you find that you're not getting those emails from Canvas in terms of the announcements, and you see announcements when you log into Canvas, you might want to check your settings to make sure you automatically get those emails, because that's really good to have those email alerts. Or if you log into Canvas every day, just make sure you check the announcements. And this is the textbook right here. So I'm just going over the syllabus to give you a sense of the course. This textbook is free of cost. There's various ways you can read it. You can read it online. I do that myself. I just, through a web browser, I read it. But you can also download it in various formats. There's a PDF format. I believe there's an app that you can use to read this textbook also, and these things are free. There are print copies available either online or at the campus store, but there's a price for that. So you can access and read the textbook for free, but if you wanted a printed copy from the campus store or other sources, you're going to have to pay for it. And basically, if you go to this website right here that is highlighted in blue, that will show you the different ways that you can read a textbook. So we don't meet in person. Even if we met in person, checking email is very important. So if I'm going to contact you, I'm going to contact you either as a group through announcements on Canvas, which should hopefully be sent to your email, or if I need to contact you individually, I am going to contact you through your Chafee email, more likely than not, sometimes through Canvas, depending on what's the easiest thing to do. And in general, I will not reply to any emails from non-Chafee accounts. Why is that? There's a federal rule that you have a privacy of your information, and if somebody emails me from a non-Chafee account and says they're you, and let's say they want to know your grade or something like that, or other things, and we respond to that and it's not you, let's say you have a nosy parent or a nosy partner or something like that, and they make a fake email to find out stuff about you, we would be in big trouble because we're supposed to protect your privacy. And so if you email me from a non-Chafee account, you may not get a reply. So always email me through your Chafee account, because then I know it's you. And if you have questions about using Chafee email, you can look at this link. It has also ways that you can merge your emails so you're not checking a bunch of emails. If you have Outlook, for example, by any chance, for example, through the school, you can have multiple accounts on that Outlook. You don't have to have different apps or different things for your different email accounts. So the course description, I'm not going to go through this stuff. You should read this. It's kind of official documentation that Chafee College uses. But what I'll sort of say is that this intro class, just like a lot of intro classes, we're covering a broad range of topics. So psychology, like other disciplines, have a lot of sub-areas that people usually specialize in. But typically what we do with students is that we introduce you to the whole field right away, a broad range of stuff. So for an intro class, we're usually doing a lot of breadth, a lot of coverage of different things. So you might feel like there's a lot of stuff that's in it, and that's kind of true, but I'll try to make it more manageable. And I will try to go into some depth in the stuff that we cover, so you're not just feeling like you're being thrown at in terms of a bunch of terms and definitions. I tend not to do that. I try to get you to understand things in more depth, especially in terms of how you can apply these ideas to your real life. And so this is again just the outcomes that the college has for you. You can read that. One of the outcomes that I want you to have is, I already sort of suggested this, is that you can use the stuff that you learn in this class in your everyday life to understand things. And so, for example, we have a lot of stuff going on with police action. And we might wonder, and we watch videos of certain police actions and think, why are they acting this way? This isn't reasonable, this doesn't make any sense. Well, we're going to cover some of that stuff. We're not going to cover it in depth, but we're going to cover a little bit in social psychology. So all the little topics that we're going to be doing, I should say little, all the topics we'll be doing, which is pretty much like a week-by-week schedule, so each week we'll have a new topic. There'll be an advanced class in psychology if you want to take it. So if you're a psych major and you find the section on social psychology, for example, very interesting, I would recommend that you take an advanced social psychology class to learn more about that topic. So I hope that you will apply what you learn in the class to real life. And then also, I hope that what you'll do is you'll take away an appreciation of the holism of people. So we're going to be studying different parts of people. So psychology tends to be divided by different aspects of people. So there's a biological aspect of people. There's a social aspect of people. There's a developmental aspect of people, so how you change and develop it over time. There's a physiological aspect of people in terms of how you process sensations from the world and perceive these things. There are aspects in terms of your consciousness, so your sleep, your dreams. There's aspects about how your mind reacts to drugs, etc. There's all these aspects of people. And so I hope that in the class you get an appreciation of how we can integrate these things, that you're not just these pieces, you're not just a biological piece, you're not just a social piece, you're not just a developmental piece, or you're not just a personality piece, but all of these things work together to make you a whole person. And I hope that by the end of the course that you have an appreciation of how these things are interconnected. So while it might seem that there's pieces we're studying, those pieces are interconnected. I want to make sure that we didn't skip anything. No, we didn't. So here's some important dates. If you're watching this, you're already in the course, so the add date's not applicable. If you want to drop, those are the dates there. I hope you don't drop. Assessment and grading, so all the assignments, exams will be on Canvas. There is a late penalty. And then there's usually a final deadline. So I might not keep the assignment open forever, so that you just get 2 points or something like that. There might be a point where I say, well, you're getting more than half off already from the late penalty. I might have the deadline be that 50%. So you should always check the due dates on Canvas, but also your last date to submit an assignment. So all the due dates and times are on Canvas. Make sure you know those very specifically. It's very easy to check that. So don't assume something. So don't assume, for example, if we have an exam, the first 2 exams Friday, don't assume the next exam's on a Friday or due on a Friday. It might be due another day, so check that on Canvas. Also, I found a lot of students have been assuming due times of 11:59. Probably a lot of your professors have 11:59 as the due time. Why is that? Because that's the default in Canvas, so you don't have to do anything, it's just there. I might use that sometimes, but the due time might be another time, so don't assume that the due time is always going to be 11:59. So the bottom line here is know the day and the time that you have to submit the assignments. And for exams, I don't accept late exams. So if you're late on the exam, you don't have an exam grade. So that's it. And so just make sure you know when those things are due. So let's get into some of the things we're going to be doing in terms of the assignments. The first thing you'll be doing is you're going to be actually reading a piece of empirical psychological research. What does that mean? It kind of means what you think research is. You think of a research question, you think of a way to measure your variables, the things you're interested in, and then you collect data, and then you analyze those data to see if there's some pattern there. So that's what empirical research means. And so you'll be picking one of these articles from a list. I'll give you a list of articles, and then you will basically review the article. So you'll summarize the article in your own words. You're going to critique the methodology, both the good things and the bad things. And then in some brief fashion, you're going to extend the conclusions of the study. So is there something that you learned from the study that you want to talk a little bit more about? So it should be a little bit more personal in terms of what you got out of it, not just saying the author said this. Well, I know what the author said. I really care more about what you think. And again, you might be thinking, well, how am I going to do that? This is an intro class. I don't know anything about psychology. Well, don't worry. I don't expect that you're going to do an expert review, but I do expect that you're going to read it and get some stuff out of it that you will understand and take to your own personal lives in terms of understanding how people act the way they do. I should say why they act the way they do. I'm recording this late at night, so that's probably not a good idea, but what the heck. So we'll talk more about this in terms of stuff on Canvas, and in a lecture I go over this assignment in more detail. So again, don't panic. You're going to be able to do this, and actually I found in the summer people in this course did a really good job on this assignment. And that's during the summer when there's a little bit more time pressure. And another thing you're going to be doing, this is towards the end of the class, is you're going to be writing what's called an attachment paper. So we're going to actually have a big lecture on attachment, which basically talks about your relationships and why you act and feel and process your memories related to relationships in certain ways. So there's certain patterns there. So we're going to talk about that in the lecture. And then I'm going to have you take those concepts and research findings and essentially apply it to your own life. So we're going to talk more about this when we get closer to this assignment. And again, you might think, oh my gosh, this sounds difficult, but what I found is that people really enjoy doing this paper, and people tend to do very well on this paper. And so a lot of people have told me that this was one of their most favorite assignments that they've done in any class that they've had. So I'm not going to guarantee that. It's not the same for everybody, but quite a few people have told me that they enjoy this assignment. And we'll go over this assignment in more detail as we get towards the due date. There will be 4 non-cumulative exams. So what does that mean? It means that the stuff that's going to be on the exam is just from the last exam. So let's say that we have exam 1. And so from exam 1, let's just say we have chapters 5, 6, 7, 8 after exam 1, and then we have exam 2. Well, those 4 chapters are going to be what's on exam 2. So there's not going to be any sort of cumulative exam or final exam in this class. It's just going to be 4 non-cumulative exams. And these exams are going to be a mixture of multiple choice and short essays. And again, we'll talk more about those exams before they happen. And my goal is to have a Zoom session before each exam. And for the exams in terms of the Canvas, I'm going to have you allow you to take the exams probably within a 24-hour period. So the exams are actually going to be split up into two parts. So the multiple choice will be a separate part, and the essays are going to be a separate part. So if you want to study differently for the essays versus the multiple choice, you can do so. You can also take the exam at a time of your choosing, but I think for each of those parts I'm going to probably have like a 24-hour window, which you have to complete it during that time. But when during that 24-hour window you complete it, it's up to you. And then finally, there's going to be 3 short one-page thought papers. So these are just some issue we're going to deal with in the class. And we're just going to have you sort of write a personal reflection about that topic. So there'll be a prompt question that you will respond to. But these are pretty easy papers, to be quite frank. But you have to have some reflection. If you just kind of say blah, 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 general stuff, then you're going to get a blah, 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 general grade. But if you actually take some time and show me that you're thinking about the topic, then you're going to get a high grade. So here's the total points right here. And you may already know, but again, if you're new to this college or any college, you may not know this, but Canvas will display your earned points. So I will grade your assignments and exams on Canvas. I will give you feedback on Canvas, so don't just look at the points, but you can also look at feedback why you got points taken off. And Canvas will display your earned points, and it should show your full points, and will show you a percentage of your full points. And then towards the end of the semester, oftentimes people think, well, I have this many points. How many points do I need to get an A? How many points do I need to get a B? Please don't ask me that. It's not that I don't care. I do care, but for one, you can calculate that yourself if you want to. But Canvas will do it also. So if you look at this link here, it will show you how you can ask Canvas what if. So for future assignments that you haven't done yet or exams, you can say, what if I get this grade? What will be my final grade? And Canvas will display a percent of points that you get, and this will just fit the grading scale right here. So here's the grading scale, and I will follow it very strictly. Why is that? Well, somebody might, email me and say, I got 89.5%. Can't you push me up to an A minus? Well, then if I do that, then somebody might say, well, I got 89.00. I'm only half a point away from what you just gave that other person. Can you give me an A minus? And then it'd be endless. And then all of a sudden, 50% would be an A minus. So I'm just going to follow this strictly. My experience is that people who are on the border and miss the grade that they want, typically they have something that they messed up on. They put an assignment late. They didn't study enough. They didn't review their paper. They didn't edit their paper to get an extra point or two. So usually it's those things that get you. It's not the points themselves. It's the small things like that. So make sure that you do the small things and you'll get the grade that you want, I hope. So accommodations. If you have accommodations, you should let me know. I have a list of accommodations, so if you have accommodations for exams, I will be emailing you a special code for a special exam. So if you don't have accommodations, don't have disabilities related to learning, you won't be able to access that exam. It only is for people who have those accommodations. So there'll be an exam that's just, we'll say like exam 1, and there'll be an exam that will say something like exam 1 DPS students. So don't ask me what DPS is. If you don't know what DPS is, you should be going into there, and you won't be able to get it there. So there'll be 2 versions of the exams, one for DPS students and one for people who don't have accommodations. I will be putting these videos on YouTube for the captioning, which I will do this for this video also, so hopefully you will see this right away. So if you want captioned videos, you can get them through Yahoo links that I will be giving you. Finally, if you think that you have some sort of disability related to learning, contact the DPS, the Disabled Programs and Services Office. So they have a protocol that they have that you need to go through to get the accommodations. And what I'll say is that if you don't officially show up as having DPS status, on my roster I cannot give them to you. So if you say something like, oh, I have dyslexia and I really need the accommodation on the exam, but my paperwork is taking too long, I can't do anything. It would be unfair. I can't give you accommodations without documentation. So if you think you have a disability related to learning, get it documented, go through the DPS office, get it done now. Because my hands are tied. If you don't have the stamp from DPS, I cannot make any accommodations for you, out of fairness to all the students. Academic integrity, so this is basically about cheating and things like that. So I will definitely say avoid plagiarism. What I'll say is that there's a major temptation in online courses to look up answers. Don't do that. My experience is that usually people might do that for 1 or 2 questions, and if you get caught, you're going to lose all your points on the whole exam, or something worse can happen. So this happened last semester, so some people copied stuff and I found it, and they got a 0 on the exam, and it certainly put their grade down a lot. In fact, some people were in danger of not passing the course. And if there's more than one violation, it certainly could lead to things like suspension and things like that. So you don't want that. So I know that's tempting sometimes online. You want the points. Don't do it. Trying to Google something for 5 points may lead to losing 100 points. Just take the loss of 5 points. There's some points here, so if you do take notes from the textbook or other sources, put things in your own words. So a couple times in the past I've had people put stuff on an exam and it's like, oh my gosh, this is straight from the textbook. And then they end up getting a 0 on the exam, and then they tell me that essentially they memorized that part. They took notes and they were memorizing it, and I can't tell the difference. I can't tell the difference if you've memorized the book or if you copied the book. And so if you are taking detailed notes from the textbook or other sources, put things in your own words. Also, work early. So I think a lot of the cases where people are cheating online is that they are rushing it. So they haven't studied enough. They're taking the exam at the last minute. They feel panicked then. And then they feel panicked and they end up cheating. Please don't do that. Again, just take the loss of points. Even if it's like 50 points. Let's say that you don't know half the exam. I would say take the 50-point loss because 100 is much worse. And so there's a website on Chafee. You can read more about academic integrity. So in terms of attendance participation, the thing is that you should be on Canvas and you should be watching lectures, doing your assignments, just keeping up. And so with an online class, you need to keep up. You need to sort of regulate your time. I'm not there to sort of poke you all the time and say, do this, do that. So if you feel like you aren't good at regulating yourself, start doing it. Start making schedules. Start planning times that you're going to be on campus. Don't be in a position where you leave things to the last minute and then you don't understand things, you don't learn things because you're trying to rush it at the last minute. Open door, open mind policy just basically says I'm very non-defensive in terms of my teaching. So if you think that there's things that can be done better, I'm very much open to that. Because it really is our course, and so you have to be active on Canvas and with the material and come to the Zoom sessions to make it work. And I will do the same. I will try to do what I can to make the course work. So if you don't get a lot out of the course, I want to know what I can do to be better, and also I want you to know that you have to be responsible also and make the course as positive as you can for yourself. So here's a tentative class schedule. Any changes I will announce on Canvas. And essentially it's like what I told you earlier, is that each week we're going to have a different topic. Most of the topics are different ways of understanding people, which are different sub-areas of psychology. And the assignments are there also, and readings are there on the right-hand side. So make sure you read this syllabus carefully. And we're going to start off week one, obviously, in terms of what is psychology, what is the discipline of psychology, what do psychologists do, and also a brief history of psychology. So a historical overview of psychology as a discipline. And then we're going to get into research methods and ethics. So psychology is a science. It follows the research process. So we're going to go into the research methodologies in general that psychology uses. And we're going to get into research ethics. So for psychology, we get data from people. And sometimes we do experiments where we manipulate things to see how people react to those things. And so psychology, like other social sciences that gets its data from people, there's ethics that we have to follow. So if you're in physics, for example, well, I don't think you have ethics in terms of research. You know, you're not caring whether a particle has been misused or abused by you. Nobody cares about that. Or if you're a chemist, if there's a certain chemical that you're studying, there's not necessarily a research ethic in terms of the chemical you're studying, that you're abusing the chemical in your research. In psychology and other social sciences, we have those concerns. So we're going to talk about that. Then we're going to get to the biopsych stuff. So we're going to get into a lot of neuroscience and other aspects of biological psychology. And related to that, the fourth topic we're going to deal with is sensation and perception. Sensation is basically how your senses, the receptors in your senses, takes in information from the outside world. And then perception is how our brain actually processes those sensations to make sense of the world. Then we have the first exam, and then the second unit that we have, which is another 4 chapters. Learning is another topic. So learning is basically why do people act the way they act? So behaviors that we do, how do we learn them? So is it through some sort of conditioning like Pavlov's dogs? Is it through rewards and punishments? Or is there other aspects of learning? For example, watching other people. So how do people learn the ways that they act? We're also going to deal with memory that week. And then we're going to have a topic called Thinking, Language, Intelligence, Performance. So how do people think? How do you learn language? What is intelligence? And how do you test intelligence? And what does your performance on certain types of tests, what does it mean? So we're going to do a lot of that type of stuff in that week. And then in the week number 7, we're going to do emotion and motivation. Motivation is basically drive. So why do you do the things that you do in terms of like eat, have sex, those types of things, drives. And then we're going to deal with emotions. And so we're going to talk a little bit in depth about your emotional structure. Then exam 2, then the next unit, states of consciousness. So states of consciousness, the textbook will deal with various things. So the textbook will deal with things like your cycles of sleep and stages of sleep, and things like how drugs, specific drugs have specific effects on you. The lectures, the 2 lectures for this part will deal with 1, dreams, so we'll get into some depth about dreams, and 2, we'll have a lecture on drugs, and it's not like this drug does this to you. It'll be why and how do people get addicted to drugs. So it'll be a lot about drug addiction or problematic use of drugs or abuse of drugs. How do you identify and what factors lead to those things? And we'll talk also about policy. So we'll talk about our current policy in this country, which is a stupid policy, wastes a lot of money, doesn't have much of an effect. And we'll explore through research what should be targeted if you actually want to be serious about preventing or helping people who are addicted to drugs. Then the next unit, or I'm sorry, the next topic in that unit is social psychology. So how do other people or contextual factors influence how you act? So why did people in Nazi Germany kill Jews and not say anything, not say, I'm not going to do this, that's wrong to kill people? Why would people do those things? Just an example. We'll have a lot of examples of immoral acts by what I'd say probably are moral people. Probably these people that we'll see that have done immoral acts probably believe in God, say they're Christian, for example, because a lot of the studies are done in Western cultures. And they'll say that they are good people, and maybe they are good people, but good people can do evil things. And so that's what we'll do in that topic. Personality, so how you are as a person, individual differences. So you're more shy, less shy, you're more outgoing, less outgoing, personality factors and how it influences you. And then I plan to do a topic on industrial organizational psychology, which is basically psychology applied to the business world, to the workplace world. And then we'll have exam 3, and then we'll deal with, in general, you can see that the chapters are not in order, so it's not like we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 in order. There's a little bit of a jumble. Part of that is that I've tried to put things that are more interesting towards the end of the semester. So I'll say that, I think it's still interesting, but, biology, people might say, oh my gosh, there's a lot of stuff there. This stuff is, it's interesting, but, some of these things might seem straightforward and less intriguing to you. But then we get into, drugs and dreams and why people do immoral things, even though they're moral people. These are interesting topics, so things get more interesting. And then I think this last part is the most interesting, at least in terms of what I think. You might differ. But we're going to deal with development. So how do people develop over time, over their lives? Why do people change? Why do some people change? Why are some people different as adults than they were as kids? And why are some people continuous? They're the same as adults as they were kids. We'll deal with these types of issues then. We'll also deal with sexuality and gender. And then we'll deal with psychological disorders. So that's the topic that a lot of people are very interested in this course. So psychological disorders we'll talk about. And we'll talk about treatment. And then in our last sort of week of instruction will talk about the course in general and try to integrate it. So you're not just sort of thinking that there's just pieces on the ground and people are different pieces, that people are actually wholes. So holistically speaking, how can we integrate the things that we've learned to understand people in general? And then in the syllabus, if you've been at Chaffey, you know that there's this stuff. If you're new to Chaffey, every syllabus has all the student resources at Chaffey College. What I'll say is that some of this information will be not 100% up to date because of COVID. So, for example, I don't know if the health centers are open or not. You'll have to check with them. And I don't think that these things have been updated for COVID. But do look at these things. There are resources that you might be unaware of, that you might actually be able to get some help, support, and maybe some money from some of the support services that are here. So do read through this thing if you have not in the past, and that's it. So that's maybe a little bit longer than I had hoped in some ways, but I do want to give you a sense of the course, and I hope that the course goes well. I've gotten a lot of good feedback on this course, that students enjoy the lectures. Students have done well generally in the course as long as you put the time in. And just let me know if you have any questions, and you'll be hearing my voice in the upcoming lectures. And I will let you know via Canvas announcements about any Zoom sessions that we have, and I hope to see you at these live Zoom sessions. So take care and good luck in the course.